Hey, this is Dave from metalepidemic.com. Thank you for checking out our YouTube video. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button below if you like this type of content, and we hope you enjoy the review. What's up guys, Dave here from Metal Epidemic, back with another album review. And for this review, Duncan Kyle and I have been checking out Canadian metal quintet Mütherload. The band's new EP, You, will be released on July 9th. So after 2 years of creating and crafting their sound, along with being the local opening support for touring bands such as Threat Signal, Green Jello, Beyond Creation and The Blood of Christ, this quintet is now ready to present their first offering in the form of an EP entitled You. I think it's You anyway. I think that's how you pronounce it. Not entirely sure. Guitarist Patrick Davidson says the EP is our first step back into the metal scene after years of silence. We feel this small collection of music represents the focus that we've developed as a band in our songwriting for the first time in years. Musically, we've stretched our reach into new territory with open tunings and more space for vocals. This EP deserves to be played loud, so crank it up. Okay, so fairly new band, although I think they did form out of the ashes of another band called Heaven Ablaze, but I hadn't heard of them either. So this, it's still going to be a fairly kind of blank canvas going into this one. I'd heard one single from the EP. Was The Visitor, and to be honest, that was enough for me to kind of make me want to check it out. From that single alone, there were multiple things, multiple elements that really appealed to me on that track. The first thing though that really stood out, that hit me straight away, was that vocal tone.
Mm-hmm.
Dear God, Derek Lee on vocals has a goddamn tone on him. Jesus. If I didn't know, if I hadn't read that they were Canadian, I would have thought straight away Scandinavian. Like when I heard that first track, I thought Swedish. That's exactly straight where I went.
He was trying to pull a Duncan there. He was trying to pull a Duncan. Yeah.
I had a very like Swedish death metal vibe to it, that vocal tone, and that like very like corrosive kind of texture. It does things for me, unspeakable things. Musically, the track also had little elements of death metal as well, maybe more kind of melodic death metal at times, but I think as you dig deeper into the EP, it actually had a lot more to offer than I was expecting. There's elements of kind of thrash in there, there's bits of kind of groove metal, there's bits that are kind of sludgy sounding as well, and there's definitely some kind of progressive rhythms thrown into the mix as well. So stylistically they do cover quite a kind of wide spectrum of sounds. I was kind of picking up like kind of elements of like Opeth, but then there was a kind of like At the Gates type melodic death metal sound, little bits of kind of Mastodon, even Lamb of God to a certain extent as well, which, I mean, it sounds like a fairly weird cocktail of bands, but somehow all the parts blend really well together. And while there's like similarities to these bands, sometimes just like a little tail on a riff that would remind you of Opeth or something like that, but it's one of those things that they don't sound like those bands either. There's similarities, but they're not identical to those bands either. And I enjoyed that about this EP. It was a real easy listen for me, just to kind of throw it on, enjoy the riffs, enjoy the grooves, because it hits quite hard. I think the production on this is very kind of direct sounding. It's like a little kick to the nuggets, if you know what I mean. Every track, aside from the kind of interlude in the kind of middle of the EP, which I want to say had a Caddyshack sample on it. I think I'm pretty sure it was Chevy Chase on that little kind of vocal sample. But apart from that, every other track was pretty much full on. I love the tone of the guitars. I like the drums as well, very punchy sounding drums. My only kind of complaints would be that I was waiting on something really kind of slow and kind of heavy on the EP. The tracks are all fairly similar in tempo, so as it went on, I was thinking to myself, this needs something really sluggish and just kind of pummeling, just to mix it up a little. And it never really came. The last track starts slower, but it pretty much jumps back into a kind of similar tempo to the other tracks. But I did like the little addition of the kind of small kind of melodic vocal on the last track, though. I thought that was a good idea to add in a little bit of kind of light and shade, and it kind of caught me off guard on that last track. But yeah, I enjoyed this. I think it has an interesting collection of styles that they've added into the melting pot, and I think they pull it off pretty well. And I think the kind of Caddyshack sample, if that's what it was, it kind of shows they've got a bit of a humorous side to them as well, which I kind of liked. I'm definitely down to hear these guys do something with a bit more length to it, just to kind of see where they go on a full-length album. But yeah, for the most part, I quite enjoyed this. Duncan, what did you make of this one?
Yeah, like very much like yourself, the thing that jumped out to me predominantly was the vocals, and that he I mean, it just so snarly, angry, gravelly.
Yeah.
It's not what you would like, especially when you hear the rest of the music. It's not a voice I would generally pair with the music, but it works. It fucking works. Boy, does it ever. I'm not. I think we had a very similar listen, if I'm honest. I love what they bring to the table. I think there's quirks and little elements. There's a little of that specifically kind of shades of At the Gates, without sounding like At the Gates. Which is weird because I was listening to At the Gates last week. It's the first time I listened to them in about fucking 5 years or something. So there's little shades of that in there. And like there's a whole swath of that kind of groove stuff, a bit of sludge, which you can associate with the kind of American sound, in there as well. Like you said, production's good. I love the guitar tone. I like the drum tone. Could hear the bass, which is a bonus. And the vocals sit really great over it. Also, kind of like yourself, the kind of missing element here is, out with the kind of interlude, is that break in speed. It does almost feel like, and once again, it feels like not they did. Got to stress this in these videos these days. Kind of almost feels like they didn't know how to change the metronome, so it was like everything has to be at this one pace all the way right through. And I mean, it works for what they're playing. Like it totally works. That sort of music at times has a bit of oomph and energy about it, so I can understand why it falls to that pace. But there were certain bits in certain tracks where it felt like it was building, and I was just like, slam me with this big slow groove, and they never really do it. Once again, that might just be because they don't want to do that, or they personally don't feel the songs need that. But the release is short. I mean, this is like about 17 minutes, there or thereabouts, and there's 6 tracks on it, and one of them's an interlude. So to me, you can play with putting a slower song in there, or something that's just, like a bit more pummeling, as a way to break that up, and they don't do that. Once again, though, I think it's well written, it's well done. It's not necessarily something that I haven't heard done before, but they are very good at what they do. They have a sound that I like. They have a vocalist who's fucking great. Don't get rid of him. Keep him. He is awesome. And yeah, the guitar works good, drum works good. There's the sort of band that it's like when you're listening to it, you realise you're kind of smiling and you're having fun listening to it because there's the energies behind it to make you want to headbang. And that's, I mean, out with the fact that, like you were saying, I think you're right. I think it is Caddyshack. The clever sense of humour. There's also the fact that the addition of the umlauts, and not only the album name but in the band's name itself, to me kind of is either a tongue-in-cheek thing, or it's because they're influenced by kind of older sounding bands, and once again that's kind of cool as well. I like it. It's hard not to like music like this. If you're a metal fan, you're kind of preconditioned to like this sort of stuff. It's just part and parcel of the genre. I would like to have just heard them maybe push a little bit more at the comfort zone, maybe try something, even maybe even a bit faster in bits. So when you switch back to that piece they're doing, it kind of feels like it's going slower artificially. It's just missing that. It's missing something in the pacing. But out with that, it's the sort of thing you could easily finish a case of beer to. You know what I mean? You're like about 4 or 5 cans deep before you realise that you've listened to this 3 times. So, I enjoyed it.
Cool. And Kyle, what did you make of this?
Oh, I make of it. I mean, there's some stuff that they bring to the table here that's really, really good. Like, they sound quite unique. I don't think I've really heard anything that sounds quite like they do. I mean, they obviously have influences, and every band does, and they obviously know how to play their instruments, which is a really good thing. They're very good musicians, which you can hear on those melodic interludes with the acoustic guitar. But yeah, it's a really good mix of like groovy death metal. I don't really know what to say. It's definitely got some Swedish stuff in there. It's like Sweden, the capital of Canada this week. But it works really well. I thought it was great. I really thought the only thing I wanted was like a little bit of variation in the vocal, like he sung a little bit in the beginning of that last song, like you said, and I thought that's really good. Maybe they should have done a little bit more of that, because sometimes it was a little bit like, okay, do something a bit different. Yeah. But what they did do was fantastic. Is this is their first release, right?
I think so.
I think so, yeah, because they just, like you said, they came out from the ashes of a different band. But I really think they've got something worth carrying on with here, and I really hope they do carry on and evolve their sound and do try some different things and push the comfort zone a little bit. And it's a great start here, fantastic stuff. I really enjoyed it. I listened to it quite a few times, and I'm going to go back to it as well. But the only thing I want to say is 2 melodic acoustic guitar interludes on a 6-track EP was like. You got the one, which I enjoyed, and then you got a heavy song, and then there was another one, and I'm like, okay, did we need both of those? Maybe one of those could have been a song. But it's a small gripe and an otherwise really well put together EP from a band of good musicians that know how to play their stuff and know how to write songs and have influences from all over the goddamn place, it turns out. So. They put it together great. It doesn't sound like anything I've really heard, and but not in any big way. It's sort of like subtle things here and there, like the sound of the vocals is a Swedish thing on top of some heavy metal riffs, but with more distortion and a bit more speed. So it's like, but it's really good. It comes together really, really well. So I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, nice. Ratings for this one from Mütherload. I did enjoy this. For the most part, I did enjoy it. I have to agree with what a couple of things you guys have said. I think, the vocal tone is really cool. And I did like when they added in that little bit of melody on that last track. So I'd like to hear them kind of play with that a little bit more. But maybe on a full length, they probably would do something a little bit more along that line. It's weird. Like, I listened to this quite a few times. And even now, I'm kind of struggling to think of a lot of the hooks from it. The single that I listened to is the one that kind of sticks in my head. I think that's probably one of the best tracks on the EP. So I wouldn't say that it's completely like sunk into my brain yet at this point. And I would like a little bit more variance in the speed. I think it was too kind of the one tempo for a lot of the EP. So rating, I'm probably going to go 3.5 on this one. Duncan, what are you thinking?
Once again, we're on point tonight. 3.5. Yeah, I think you've pretty much hit the nail on the head. I'm super interested to hear something longer form for them. The 2 instrumental acoustic-y guitar tracks. If you have a full length album, you can do that. You can have both of them in there. I think substitute that out of this and give me a slow groove bass song, and this jumps up a whole point, I think. It's a good listen to. I almost think that you could put it down in front of any person that consumes a lot of metal music and put it on, and they will enjoy this listen. So 3.5.
Nice. And Kyle?
Yeah, I'm going to go on the same 3.5. Strong 3.5. It's not a weak album in any sense. It's just, I want more. Let's put it that way.
More?
Okay. Please, sir.
So, it's got the accent for that, Dave. He can get away with that accent. We can't. See if we say please. Please, sir, gaze more. It kind of sounds like we're mugging someone. See if Kyle does it. He sounds like an impoverished waif. So
I'm not sure which one's better.
well, one is likely to garner sympathy. The other one's likely to garner a prison sentence. So
yeah, one comes before the other, right?
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. This one drops on July 9th. If you want to check out the band, it's facebook.com/Motherload Band. I'll put a link in the description below to their Facebook and any pre-orders and stuff for the EP. Let us know what you think. If you've heard any of the tracks, stick some comments in below. Happy to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. And thanks for checking out the review. Much appreciated. We'll be back with another review very soon, but until then, take care. We'll speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
See you later.